And while Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan rejected Washington's ceasefire proposal in northern Syria, he did accept, though, an invitation to visit Moscow from Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Mr. Erdogan may pay a working visit to Russia within a few days to meet Mr. Putin. This is according to Russian state media, citing a Kremlin spokesman. The news followed a phone call between the two leaders.
Russia is stepping into the void caused by the withdrawal of U.S. troops ordered by President Donald Trump. Russia has deployed patrols to prevent clashes between Syrian and Turkish forces.
Now, for more, let's go to Julia Chapman, and she is in Moscow. Julia, both the U.S. and Russia, they're trying to influence Turkey over this incursion in northern Syria. So what is Moscow's strategy?
Well, to an extent, Russia sees Turkey's operation in northeastern Syria as an opportunity, not least for its allies, the government of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, that Russia has been supporting since it got involved in this conflict just over 4 years ago. And so we've seen in the last few days since the Turkish operation began that the forces of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and the Russian forces have been moving into some of those areas that have been vacated by U.S. troops. And so this is something that Russia is seeing as possibly an opportunity for the Syrian government to move into some of the territory that it had not been able to obtain previously. And that is something that Russia is also hoping will lead towards the culmination of this conflict, because Russia is certainly angling for this conflict to come to an end as soon as possible. Russia wants to see peace in Syria, and it also wants to see the Syrian Constitutional Committee become successful. That is something that is going to be meeting for the first time later this month. The Constitutional Committee is going to is aimed at rebuilding Syria as a country after this conflict that's been going on for the better part of a decade. It's something that President Putin himself sees as his brainchild, and that's something that he's hoping could lead the way in the next few weeks. However, we are, of course, hearing concern from the Russian government. They are also worried that this operation that's being carried out by Turkey in northeastern Syria could carry on for longer than necessary, and they have been expressing concerns about maintaining Syria's territorial integrity.
Julia, is it fair to say that Russia is comfortable in its intentions to sort of fill the void left behind by the United States now that they've withdrawn, and and not just in Syria but in the Middle East region?
Well, that's certainly its intention, and we have been hearing from Russian officials in the past week, ever since the U.S. made its intentions clear about withdrawing from that region of Syria where it had been supporting the Kurds. Russia has very much been painting the U.S. as an unreliable partner in the Middle East and has been positioning itself as the alternative. So Russia now stepping in to try to negotiate between various groups in the region. It's been trying to negotiate between the Kurds and the Turkish government, between Turkey and the Syrian government as well. So it's trying to step into that void, position itself as a mediator, and start looking ahead to where this conflict could go, how peace could be forged in Syria with the creation, as I say, of the Syrian Constitutional Committee that we'll be looking forward to later this month, where they'll be meeting for the first time.
All right, many thanks for that. Julia Chapman speaking to us from Moscow.